About 4 years ago, I started making music, and it was the first time like I was actually making music and recording it and actually putting it somewhere. And that somewhere was YouTube. When I started out, like I wasn't making like I wasn't actively trying to make original music. I was just, trying to figure things out, like, what synths to use, what instruments, actually learning how to produce music and actually like make it in a manner that's like, actually presentable and that you could actually like put it somewhere on like YouTube or like Spotify or something, and it's just like, at a certain quality. Those are all things I'm learning right at that point. But at the same time, I'm having fun with it. And one thing I used to do was basically that, so if you don't know like how music's made and everything, like just quickly I'm just gonna explain to you, like for example, like you would have these websites that would have free MIDI, like, arrangements of songs. And basically, like, long story short, it's basically like all the chords and the melodies and everything basically arrangement wise of a song, right? And a lot of these, like, websites had like, arrangements of like popular, like, TV show intros and just popular, like, tunes and like songs that people know around the world, right? And so my thing was that I would just find like, TV shows and like, movies and just like, really like, obvious like stuff such as like, I don't know, like the Gravity Falls intro song or like the House MD intro, like just music that I liked and like, I used to consume like that TV show or movie. So I would just like get those, and what I would do is I would just basically like, put my choice of instruments, synths, drums and like whatever, like, just make it into a manner that's like different and new and like, sort of like my take on it. And keep in mind, like at this point, like I barely know how to produce music. Like I'm just like, figuring it out. But I did that, and I was, brave enough to put it on like YouTube, and I would actually just make it public and like actually got a bit of traction on like some of them. But like 4 years down the road, like 4 years of like, actually like learning more and more music techniques and stuff like that, obviously that quality is not gonna be the same, right? And some people along the way might just like look at that stuff that you made earlier on, just be like, that's just rubbish, that's just not great, and just hit the delete button. And what I'm really glad about is the fact that I didn't do that. And so like I did make the videos private at some point because I was just like, wait, I just don't want these to be like, there. But I'm actually really glad that I made them private. I didn't delete those videos because I recently revisited all those videos and songs I did, and it is so interesting because I listen to that and it's like almost as if like I'm talking to my past self, like, and it's so interesting because I hate that music and it's like it's so goofy in a weird way. Like it's like, why did I use that synth? Why does this sound so bright? Why are the drums so like weird and interesting, and why are they playing the same beat? But at the same time, like, sure, like it's not up to a certain quality that I might strive for nowadays, but at the same time there's a certain quality to it. And I feel like listening to the stuff is almost like, communicating to my past self, where that kid was like, in the pandemic, just feeling bored and was just making music that he thought was fun. And whenever I open like a new project up, because what I'm doing right now is I'm basically like remastering and like retweaking like some of these songs, and I'm trying to get them up on my other channel. I'll probably link my channel like, in the future at some point in one of my videos when I'm talking about art and like music or something, because I'm actually trying to get it to like a certain like, level of just all of my stuff being there and it's all like, proper and to a certain quality. But if you're interested, like for example, like the music that's playing in this video, I made that like 2 years ago. So yeah, that's my music. That's literally a song I've made. But I think the purpose of this video is just trying to illustrate the fact that if you've ever made any piece of art, and I'm using the word art in the broadest sense, it could be a video you've edited, it could be a guitar riff you wrote, it could be anything. It could be music, it could be a painting you made, it could be a doodle you made that was like really interesting. My advice is never delete that or never get rid of that stuff. Try to like, keep it in some way. Like for example, like I think in this day and age, it's so easy to kind of like preserve art. So like if you have a painting or like a doodle or anything like that's like, that you've made, you could just take a picture of it, and if you don't have the space to keep it, you just give it away. But at least you're maintaining some form of it, because I realize like as I get older that a lot of this stuff that we make and we create, it's kind of everything in a weird way. It's like this is the sort of stuff that we put effort into, and when we actually look back on this stuff, just like I'm like, looking back on the music I made in the earliest days of me ever, like, learning how to use music software, how to use plugins. It's a very interesting way to learn more about yourself, because you're kind of looking back on stuff, right? It's like when you made that stuff in the present, like you weren't really thinking about like, 4 years from now, what is this gonna sound like to future me? But 4 years, like, currently, like right now, I'm looking back on this stuff and it's like you just learn something new about yourself. Like, and I think art is just a great medium to translate that, because I don't think we really have anything else that could translate like such strong emotions and inspirations. Even like I listen to this stuff and I'm kind of like inspired to like make stuff that's a bit more, bright sounding and more just goofy, like just fun. I think that's one thing we kind of just lose. Like 4 years ago, I was about to start college. Like college hadn't even started for me, and now I have graduated, and I feel like I've become more bitter over time. I think that's just something that comes with age. You become a bit more bitter about just the world and just like, how it is. And I think holding on to like art like that you've made, and it could be anything, like again, I'm using art in the broadest sense. I think holding on to pieces of art like that reminds you of simpler times, and it reminds you also not the fact that, like that time was simpler and I had more time back then. Like sure, I had more time to like, work on music during the pandemic because just we were all inside, but it just reminds you that, you're literally alive right now, and you can make stuff, you can create stuff that can, inspire others to make stuff. And I think that's pretty cool, like the fact that you can do that, and the fact that, art that you've created in the past can inspire you to do that is honestly like just amazing. And yeah, like if you're watching this video, and the one thing I can like give you as a piece of advice is just don't hit delete on like, stuff that you created. Keep it in some like, manner. Like if you've made a song, like, if we're on like the subject of like making music, if you made a song, just put it somewhere. Like, we don't need to have physical space anymore to keep stuff. You can just keep it online somewhere. And I can promise you, with the passage of time, like if you ever like encountered that piece of music ever again, or it could be anything, like any form of art that you just kept over years, I can promise you, you're gonna see it differently, like very differently. Like, and to the extent that not that you want to like, maybe release it to the world or something, but just having it and owning it is going to give you such profound appreciation for who you were and what you can be, I think. Because I think when we create stuff in the moment, it seems very like, like it's just not that great, and like the imposter syndrome kicks in. And I kind of just want to like, urge you to like not give into that, because I think imposter syndrome kind of just makes you hit that delete button. And again, my one advice is just don't hit that delete button. Just keep it with you, keep it for a few days, a few months, and just see how your perception on what you've created has changed. Because at the end of the day, art takes effort and it takes time, and I think if anything, if you look at it in the future, you're just gonna appreciate like, the fact that you spent so much time and effort on something. Again, sure, like maybe the aesthetic value of the thing that you've made or how it sounds or anything might not appeal to you, but just the fact that you put so much effort and hard work into something and you actually tried to create something, I think that alone is like kind of really cool to see. And yeah, thanks for watching my video, and yeah, I guess that's all I have to say.